Welcome to another Spearfishing video. This video, I will warn you, is about 17 minutes long, and I therefore could not be bothered to arrange any music for it, and you will therefore have to put up with my dulcet voiceover. All the videos in this clip are based in Cornwall. In September I spent a week, or just over a week, in Pinnacle Sands, which is on the video now. Absolutely pristine campsite for the Pete Crawford Memorial Weekend. I think that's being held again this year, so be sure to check that out. We were blessed with absolutely incredible weather in early September that enabled us to get a lot of trips out. I took my boat down, which is in shot now. That is my Pirate 480, made in Pembrokeshire. Accompanying me on the boat there is Mr. Dan Newman, Team Speardock as well, and Mr. Joe Janik, who were both in Pinnacle in the same week as me. This is a typical video from the first few days. New area, new ground, different conditions, lots more viz and miles of kelp. You can see quite a few of the bass are perfectly legal to take, but I try not to shoot fish for the sake of it. Subsequently, therefore, I don't actually have much footage other than this for like the first 4 or 5 days I was there. I concentrated on my diving rather than filming. There are some pictures which I shall dig out and add after this clip. That is a couple of lobsters and the bigger bass I shot. One of the lobsters was in fact buried, so I notched her and put her back. And I did shoot a decent flounder too. Now, undoubtedly for me, the highlight of my trip to Cornwall was that my dad was able to join me for a few days.
Oh, you foul looked a fucking wrasse. Like.
Oh, nice.
I've never seen a wrasse.
What? Wrasse?
Cuckoo wrasse.
Now, my sheer addiction for the sea undoubtedly came from my dad, but I progressively became bored with rod and line fishing because I'm crap at it. And as you can see from this picture, he used to spearfish some 40-something years ago and decided to get back in the water to have a bash with me at his tender age of 73. And as totally anticipated, he loves it. Plan for 2021 is to get a gun in his hand where he will no doubt outfish me and will be swimming back to shore when he does. After the old man made a return to Wales, I had some time chilling out with the excessively bearded Matt Coombe, Dan Newman and family, Matt and Joe Janik and family. It was a very pleasant afternoon, chilling out in the rather crystal clear water. And by dawn the following morning, I was joined by my fellow countryman Kerry.
It's going to take us all day to get to fucking New Zealand if you two don't start pushing. Spearfishing we're going, not sheep shearing.
This is us on the boat, the Pirate 480. It's a really good spearfishing platform, to be fair. You can see the four of us here are moving around pretty comfortably. All the kits tucked in the corner, still loads of room. And the difference you don't see with a lot of boats is that this one has a bit of a platform on the back, which makes it so much easier to sort of climb out of the boat, put your fins on, etc. before you jump in the water. Now, I wouldn't ordinarily show this sort of footage, but I didn't actually record any fishing during this period, so hopefully this will be enough to bring back some memories for the guys on board. That's an 8-pound pollock. I don't know if that's Joe's 10 or 11-pound pollock. Oh, wait, that's 11-pound pollock and 2 5-pound bass. And Kerry did not shoot all of those himself. I am acutely aware that no fish have yet been shot in the first 5 minutes of this video, but that is about to change. We took a day trip further south on the boat. That was sunrise. Matt had promised to put Kerry and I on some big pollock spots that he is the master of. And after Kerry not realising the bung wasn't in, we did manage to finally leave the harbour.
This is what I mean about all the gullies and stuff.
Fucking hell.
What, you think second?
Oh, Gary sorted himself right out, don't worry. Now on. Fuck me.
When it's 15 metres, mate, I'll go in slowly. When it's fucking 1.8, where the boy is.
This is my second dive on the spot. After the first dive landed me right on top of the Pinnacle. You can see a fish just cruising off to the right. And then I thought the GoPro wasn't recording, so I reset it. I really didn't have to wait very long before this fish popped up. Matt had warned me that the fish down in Cornwall with the viz and the depth look smaller, and I honestly thought this fish was about 3 pounds when I pulled the trigger, but he went a good bit bigger than that.
Hang on, Dan. Don't get off the boat yet, mate. You got to put that on.
Ah, Rich, you're a machine.
Mate, exactly as you say. Little ones, the smaller ones will scarper, and the big one just comes up out the back. They swim hard though.
That's a lovely fish, right?
You just smash that fucker. Shoot. Right, son. Second dive. 6.7 metres, 43 seconds.
I reckon that's 7.
Gotta be, yeah.
Now, after a little bit more coaching from Matty about where the gully was and where the Pinnacle wall is, and this was my very next dive, I ended up missing the Pinnacle wall and landed straight down in the middle of the gully. And as I'm dropping, I see a few fish scarper, which are very good fish. But luckily, that one didn't spook. This is probably my favourite fish that I shot in 2020. It's also up there with one of the biggest.
You're right.
Oh, mate, that's a pig as well.
My adrenaline is through the roof at this point, and so much so that I can't even hold on to my knife. It's a good catch by Matt.
Cheers, mate.
That's a fucking pig, that.
Fucking kicked all the way up.
He's 7-8 pounds.
Fucking hell.
You can't do it that way, going through the mouth. You got it?
To save you having to pause the video, it was an 11 metre dive at 44 seconds, which just confirms you don't need to be particularly deep or long to catch decent fish. This was slightly more frustrating though. That lobster line you can see in the background completely put me off because I didn't have a reel on the gun and I didn't want to shoot this big fat pig of a pollock and it go underneath the lobster line and me not be able to surface with my gun. So I didn't shoot it. But that I think is a double figure fish.
Oh, mate, what a pair.
Yeah.
What a pair of pollocks. 9 and 8.5. I'm going with.
Yeah.
Fucking outstanding fish, triply.
8.35.
The pollock king.
There you go. Got it? Yeah. 8 point. Identical. 8.4.
Okay. What was your PB?
8.
Was that?
It was literally a slimming shade of it, shy of 8.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, my experience with bass in Cornwall was slightly underwhelming. Didn't really see anything outstanding, and therefore only ever tried half-heartedly to shoot them, and I ended up missing loads. That one being one, this one being another. Oh no, wait, that's the one I should have shot. Didn't. And then I decided to miss the smaller one. Useless. And by the time I found a fish I wanted to shoot, the camera wasn't pointing at it. And it proved to be the luckiest catch I think I've ever had.
Fuck, I was lucky to get him up. What? Oh, minute 7. And then I rushed the shot. Look. I don't think it's going to take much to get him off.
Matty, as always, proudly presenting his posset.
There you go. It's not a bad fish.
Our trusted guide then took us to a scallop spot he knows, so we could pull a few scallops for the campsite. Local knowledge always helps. This area was seriously like diving in a fish tank. Tube worms, scallops, hermit crabs, cuttlefish, you name it, it was pretty much there. However, the GoPro camera battery ran out pretty soon after we got there, so there isn't a ton of footage. This is actually a trip from December at sunrise.
Early.
Very early.
With the Frenchman and Freddie on the same ground, so I put it in the same edit.
Frenchman with his classic 2 dives and 2 fish.
Honestly, the guy's a machine.
Fucking epic.
We're gonna find bigger.
So I jumped in, had a dive. I think this dive is down to about 14 meters, which is probably just beyond my comfortable depth at that time. I had a bit of a mare of a day after the drive down. It's not quite as kelpy at this depth. However, some pollock do come in, and that's going to be a nice long swim to the surface, trailing a spear. Max did promise something bigger, and left it up to Mr. Newman himself to provide it. Not long after, Matty pops up with a 9.5 pound pollock.
Might as well have footage of somebody else holding up fish since I ain't got any.
So please give Max a slap for finding that so funny.
That's a nice looking fish.
Max then pops up with a really nice crayfish.
There they go. Where are you staying at?
Mate, I've never seen one. That is awesome.
My memory serves correctly, Max picked that up at 24 metres.
That's a nice one too.
Yeah. Right, that's why I pick it up. Otherwise I don't take it. No.
We then stopped and picked up some scallops. With it being December and pretty damn cold, we called it quits after that.
At the end, I put my hand on a couple and I went, no, I'm not going to have them.
Yeah, again.
That's class.
That's probably like the best one I've done as well. Despite like the
I'll edit that out.
Normally I'll do that right back there and I'm like tracking across the whole harbour. Well, the fish that way.
Yeah, that's a good size one.
It's not very long though, is it? Oh, the cray.
Yeah,
Where do you want the baby one?
Oh, you had 2 months? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As always, trying to do the filleting at the dockside.
Had two rip
Not
offs.
to take the waste home.
You should have seen the fillets that came off the fucking 16 boat. Was it 14 boat?
Yeah.
Me.
That's something else that.
As always, I don't really care if you enjoy the video. It's far more about helping those who helped create the memories, share the memory, and helped make my trips to Cornwall in 2020 absolutely incredible. Thank you to all of those involved. Yaki da.